Pope Francis is wrapping up his tour of Mexico with a visit to the highly politicized US-Mexican border, a place where millions of migrants have crossed into the US and thousands more have died along the way. Now, he visited a notorious prison in Ciudad Juarez, a city that has been the scene of violent battles between the country's drug cartels for years. Later, the pontiff will celebrate Mass just meters from the US border. Let's cross live now to Mexico. CNN's Polo Sandoval is standing by for us there. Polo, as he has done in the past, Pope Francis met with criminals. Just tell us about the prison he visited.
Absolutely. We actually got to see him do that during his most recent trip to the United States, which is in Philadelphia. Well, obviously, a very similar pattern here when he visited El Cerezo State Prison, what was one of the most notorious, one of the most dangerous prisons in Latin America at one point, particularly during the height of the Juarez violence in 2010. Well, this time that Pope Francis visiting a courtyard that was once a bloody battlefield for rival gangs that would essentially clash on a daily basis. And his main message here was, in his own words, that incarceration does not resolve a state of insecurity, something that is still being felt, not just here in Juarez, but really other parts of this country, a place that's been torn by cartel violence. So as a result, much of that message in that prison, that was at one point a very dangerous prison, was focused on that at this point, what he claimed that many decades have been lost to this false idea that incarcerating criminals would actually keep communities safe, and then he was able to actually have some personal time to meet and greet some of the prisoners that are incarcerated in that prison. Linda.
And Polo, later today, as I mentioned, he will visit the Mexican-US border. Now, I understand you took a tour of the area. What did you find, and who will Pope Francis be speaking to when he's there?
He will be speaking to really the world when it comes to this migrant issue that has been at the top of his agenda, Linda, and he's choosing this as a symbol of this migrant route. A couple of days ago, he was in southern Mexico. This morning, he woke up in Mexico City, and then, of course, now he comes here to the border region. He'll be eventually breaking away from what is the main altar area behind me, get closer to the border, and really issue a reassuring message to a city that needs it.
Reminders of a violent past still linger in the faces of Juarez, Mexico, from the missing posters on street corners to the city's central square. City officials say in 2010, at least 3,000 people were killed during the height of a turf war between the Juarez and Sinaloa drug cartels over control of lucrative smuggling routes. Even Juarez's new mayor will tell you it wasn't just cartel members among the dead.
The violence touched the very heart of Juarez. We lost friends, family, and innocent people in the streets. The level of crime was inhumane.
Javier Gonzalez Moquen tells me a place once dubbed the most dangerous city in the world seems to be on a slow but steady path to peace. But the mayor says there is still work to be done here. He hopes Pope Francis will help this border town fully heal from its troubled past.
This visit means hope and joy. For the people of Juarez, it will recognize their efforts to reestablish peace and tranquility.
It's expected that during the Mass, the Holy Father will address a primary concern of his.
Pope Francis will walk down this path right next to the border, according to church officials. They tell me that the pontiff will end at the very end here, right on the border, where a makeshift memorial to migrants will be set up. He'll pray for those who made it across the border and those who did not. That single symbolic moment expected to highlight an issue very important to this pontiff: immigration.
Most of us were once foreigners.
He defined himself as a migrant as he addressed Congress last fall, urging lawmakers and the president to be more compassionate towards migrants and refugees.
Javier, ¿de dónde vienes tú, Francisco?
Father Javier Calvillo says some of those who wait at this Catholic shelter before trying to cross into the U.S. will be in the crowd as the pontiff holds his Juarez Mass.
Migrants feel the support, the protection, the joy of Pope Francis.
Those migrants will be within eyesight of the fence many of them hope to get past.
And back out live to Ciudad Juarez, where, again, this crowd continues to grow at this place now referred to as El Punto. What was once a dusty fairground now converted into a massive sanctuary. A group of local nuns now singing with the crowd and really trying to encourage them and keep the crowd going. Many people here, Lynda, have been here already for 9 hours, if you can imagine. Many individuals actually spent the night really in long lines that are still making their way onto El Punto. It is expected that Pope Francis will arrive here in about 2 hours' time for that very that very symbolic moment that we just told you a little bit about, and then after that celebrate Mass in front of at least 215,000 people. And we have to remember the United States is right over there.
Wow, 9 hours waiting for the Pope and another couple to go. That is dedication. Polo Sandoval, thank you very much. Well, Pope Francis is normally very cool and composed when dealing with the faithful, but on Tuesday he lost his temper and his balance in the middle of a crowd. A person pulled the pontiff's arm so hard that he fell onto someone in a wheelchair. It happened while music was blaring at the stadium. Have a look. Aides and security stepped in to prevent Francis from falling. Then you can see the pontiff scolding the person in the crowd, saying, "Don't be selfish." Well, still to come, the FBI wants Apple's help in investigating the San Bernardino shootings, but Apple CEO says the Bureau is asking the company to hack into its own users. We'll explain why next.